Welcome back to the TVHS Football Podcast with the second episode of Coaches Talk with host White Hal.
Landon Hirschmuller.
Our special guest again,
Coach Wiggers.
So today we're going to keep going in and talk about you as your head coach and just overall talking about this week's game coming up against a big rivalry game against Hal. Big win again last week against Central. So starting off, 54-17 win against Hal Central. How was that? Being there, getting that win again.
It was good. Obviously, it was kind of a rough start for us. We certainly didn't anticipate being down 10-0 at the end of the first quarter, but there's a reason that we play the game for 48 minutes. Teams aren't. You can't just beat us in one quarter. You got to beat us in four. Yeah. And I thought our guys did a great job responding to a little bit of adversity. Didn't quite go the way we wanted early on, and obviously kind of put it on them there in the second through fourth quarter. So it was a good game. I thought the atmosphere was incredible. We had 2,500, 3,000 people out there for the homecoming game.
Yeah.
It was loud. It was energetic. There was people all over the place. So it was a really, really cool atmosphere. Hopefully we can it's tough to replicate that with the homecoming atmosphere, but hopefully we can get close here for some of the remaining home games because that was a lot of fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so speaking of the homecoming game, rushing for Carter Dow had a career high with 309 rushing yards with 23 carries. Just a big thing with him, keep going off. How was that, having him as that running back there?
Yeah, I mean, Carter's a tremendous weapon. He's a tremendous football player, tremendous person. We love having Carter. But he was a little banged up early in the season, so it was good to really see him kind of, if you look at the stats going all the way through the season, really progressively getting back to full strength. Over the last couple of weeks, he's really been back to where we wanted him, and obviously it really showed up on the stat sheet this week with going for 309 and 5 touchdowns. So it's really good to have him back at full strength because he's when he's right, he's one of the best running backs in the state, and he's right now. So
yeah. So going to talk about this week's game against French Hal. You got last year. You guys finally got that regular season win against them. So how was that kind of like the team atmosphere going in this week with the big rivalry with the French Hal?
Yeah, it's always just an exciting week. You work the entire offseason to try to put yourself in position to play in big football games, and that's what we've done so far. So this is one of the biggest ones, one that we circle, every single year. Historically, Francis Howell has been kind of the big dog in this conference. We were fortunate to get on the right side of the rivalry last year, and currently we're the ones that are the defending conference champions. So we need to go out and defend our championship and make sure that we can keep that thing here at Troy. But these games always just mean a little bit more, but it doesn't change the way we prepare. We want to have the same focus and have the same energy, and go out and just execute and be us the same way that we do every single week. But these games are always a lot of fun.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you got, Hirsch?
So how would you attack going into tomorrow? How what are some notable players going into tomorrow?
Notable players for us.
Yeah.
If just from watching us, over the course of the season, anybody who's spent much time watching us, we're going to try to run the football. It's if we can run the football, we've got a good chance to win the game. So, we'll be selective with our opportunities to take some shots whenever we can, but we're going to rely on the round game and keep the clock moving and move the chains and try to be the more physical football team. So, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to who wins the rush stat. They've got a really good running back on that side. He's super talented, quick, dynamic, electric. He's every adjective that you could use to describe a good running back. He's got him on that side. So we got a few really good running backs playing in this football game, and whichever team runs the ball better is probably going to win. So that's our goal. Is we want to go run the ball better than they will.
Yeah.
All right. So with French Hal being in your guys' conference, and you were just talking about the conference championship, and then you guys have West the following week after this. So all these games back to back, having them as a conference games, really big. This your few weeks that everybody needs to be locked in, keeping everything going straight forward.
Yeah, these are the ones that are going to determine, who is the conference champion at the end of it. And, the way that our postseason setup is, being a conference champion is a big goal of ours. But with that being said, at the end of the day, we want to be playing longer than everybody else. And these teams also fall into our district, which makes things even more interesting. From a seeding standpoint, home field advantage, bye weeks, all those types of things factor into these couple games. So they mean a little bit more than some of the other ones. So it's just, like I said earlier, it's just an exciting time. These are 2 weeks that we all off season take a look at the schedule, and it's gearing up for these. These are the ones that we're really working for. So we need to go out and play well, and hopefully make it happen these next couple weeks.
Right. So just going off a little bit of game plan, not necessarily like your actual game plan, but a strategy going into it. We're talking about Chris Wenger. Last game didn't really see much. We ended up seeing him out the second half of the game. How's that going with him? Is he coming back? He's going to be good for this week, or?
Yeah, Chris practiced in full yesterday. We're still working on getting it back up to exactly 100%. But Chris will play on Friday. He'll be back in the mix on both sides of the ball, which is good. We talked about it last week when I was on, kind of the thunder and lightning thing with him and Carter. Having both those guys as weapons, running the football, and then Chris provides a ton of value on the defensive side as well. He's just got a knack for finding the ball and getting it to the ground. So it'll be nice to have him back. So we're planning on him being full go for tomorrow.
Yeah. Kind of going off that, what can you expect from Chris this week? What can you expect from him?
I don't know if there's anything I can specifically say we're expecting from him outside. Chris has been he's a multi-year starter for us, so we're expecting him to play like a multi-year starter. He's a dog. He's going to make things happen on the field. Whenever he gets the opportunity and on both sides of the ball. So I don't have any big time specific expectations other than we expect him to play well because he's a good football player.
Yeah. So we're gonna get off topic here a little bit, because it's more about getting to know you as a coach and stuff like that. For people that didn't know, you played quarterback at Millikan University. So what was kind of a highlight there for you? Yeah, so, just truthfully being completely transparent with you guys, I feel like I am much better as a coach than I ever was as a player. I was an okay high school football player. I was a starting quarterback for 2 years at my high school. It's a small school over in Illinois. We ran the wing tee offense, but I loved football. It was something that was so important to me. I had some coaches that really invested in me, people that helped shape me to who I am today. So that was part of the reason I wanted to get into coaching, was to kind of do that same thing. Whenever I went to Millikan, I realized quickly that I wasn't as good as I thought I was. There were some players there, even being a Division III school, there were some players there that were much more talented than me. So I was only there for a year. It wasn't really the right fit for me. And I actually transferred down to SEMO, which is when I transitioned out of the player aspect of it into the coaching aspect of it. I got on I got on as a student assistant down there my first year down there. And my first year, it was a lot of filming and equipment stuff and just kind of helping out how I could. And, after that first year, I went into the head coach's office and I was like, hey, I've been around a little bit. I would love to have the opportunity to learn more football. I want to help with football. I want that to be the aspect that I'm around here for. And he told me, just be here, So I would, and during that spring semester, I would go have my classes until noon, go grab a sandwich from Subway, and then I'd just go sit at the coach's office from 12 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And some days I would just sit there and work on homework. Sometimes I would just, chat it up with some of the coaches or the equipment guy or whoever. But it got to the point where I was around enough where it's like, hey, we need something done. Like, oh, there's Brett, and it's like, hey, let's ask him. He could go do it. So then it got to the point where I was doing some stuff, just various odds and ends, kind of helping him out. And then it was like, hey, can you help us put together this presentation for offensive playbook or this and that. So, they're talking and doing all their stuff, and I'm just, doing the PowerPoint. And I was able to grow there. And then the special teams coordinator really took me under his wing as he was building game plans and things like that. We had one-on-one meetings, and it actually resulted in, I tell people the first game that I was with SEMO was at Mizzou, and I was behind the camera up in the press box filming the game. The second season, the first game of the year, was up at down at the University of Memphis at the Liberty Bowl, and in that game, I was in the coach's box with a headset charting special teams plays. So just over the course of that year, I was able to grow into my role from doing the equipment, doing the video, and just doing what they needed me to do to kind of prove my worth to then starting to add value and learn from a football standpoint. So I didn't have a crazy playing career or anything like that, but my football experience from a college standpoint was much more along the lines of transitioning into this coaching career that's been it's obviously my livelihood at this point in time. So it was a really, really good experience. From that standpoint, and then just kind of grew from there. The role continued to grow, and I went to Southwestern Oklahoma State, did a little bit of coaching on the defensive side at linebacker, and then wanted to get back closer to home and landed here in Troy. So it's been kind of a fun journey to get to where I am. But I didn't want anybody to be mistaken thinking I was a superstar college football player. I wasn't. I was a decent high school football player. Loved the game, loved all aspects of it, and I love what I do now. Right. Yeah. So definitely you're thankful for getting that opportunity to go to the next level for football, but at the same time, you're also really thankful that you opened with your eyes got open with knowing that you weren't as good as you thought you were, and
Yeah.
then now
Yep.
you're here being a coach, going
Absolutely. Everybody's got their own path, everybody's got their own journey. And at that time I was a 19-year-old kid that was still figuring out what my journey was, and I played football since I was 5 years old. Football was the most important thing in the world to me, and I wanted to keep playing. It just at one point dawned on me, it's like, well, maybe this isn't the right way for me to continue my football journey. Maybe there's another path here for me. And like I said, I feel like I was a decent high school football player, but when it came down to it, I've really, really enjoyed the role that I'm in now. And I feel like I'm doing a decent job of what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing, so I hope I can continue to grow in that role and go from there. But yeah, it's been a fun ride to get to where I am now.
Oh yeah.
So speaking on a little bit more, just like this season, Carter Schaefer, has a couple starts under his belt now. You're definitely seeing him as he's going to be actually good to fill in this spot. So is it each day getting better by better? Is it week or how's that?
Yeah, it just all comes with experience. We knew what we had in Schaefer. We knew he was a multi-year varsity starting quarterback. We were fortunate, like we talked about last week, to have 2 good quarterbacks on our roster. So he got pushed into playing a little bit earlier than we thought, but he is very, very capable of playing quarterback at the varsity level, and he's getting more comfortable by the day, by the rep. Every second he's getting a little bit more comfortable out there, more confident, and it's going to continue to show as we go down the stretch. And I think really what's happening right now is going to really benefit him whenever we get out here next year. We open the season with Eureka, which is going to be a really tough test. We're not trying to look way down the road, but at early in the season, we thought that was going to be his first varsity start. That was going to be his first significant experience, and that's a tough one. So having the experience that he's gaining now and then taking it in and growing on that into his junior year and ultimately his senior year, we think that guy's going to be really special.
So, how do you assess an individual player performance during the game? As coaching, you're looking at everybody, but you kind of know when you like Carter Dow this last week. Did you know he was having a crazy amount of yards like that, or just thinking it was just one of a normal game for him?
Well, we've been fortunate that those big numbers have been frequent with Carter. He's put up big numbers. With the skill positions, it's more obvious, right? It's something that somebody in the stands or a fan can see. You see if a guy's scoring touchdowns, you see if a guy's making catches downfield and doing those types of things. So it's a little bit tougher with the linemen, the guys who are up front blocking in the trenches, where you have to evaluate as you're actively going without having a bunch of stats to kind of use that. So we've got a video replay system where it's almost instant within 15 seconds. We've got video replay on the sideline so we can see what happened on the play before. And we don't typically use it that quickly, from a play standpoint. But the way that it works with us is whenever our offense is on the field, our defense will be reviewing the video from their last series. When the defense goes on, then the offense comes over and they're kind of looking and making corrections. So that's really when a lot of those corrections happen and a lot of those evaluations. Very rarely have we seen something that was, so in a situation where we felt like we had to get a guy off the field because they just weren't getting the job done. A lot of times it's, you made a mistake on this, here's the video to show what could have been done better, and then, make an improvement and make a correction on it. So, but that's a cool aspect of technology that's relatively recent, to high school football that we utilize, and it helps us a lot in game.
Yeah. So, just going to finish it off here with just a couple more questions. So with the way that Troy has, became that kind of not necessarily a powerhouse, but definitely a team that everybody's everybody's scheduling ready for Troy, knowing
hopefully
that it's gonna be a
respected.
walkover.
That's the word we look for, right? Is respected. Yeah.
Right. So, how does that feel that you guys are kind of getting in that groove where you guys are hopefully getting that respect now, as the head coach?
Oh, it's great, and it's what we work for. We want people to think, no matter when, no matter where, Troy is going to put a good football team on the field. Troy is going to give us a good game. We don't want anybody to look at a game with Troy and think oh yeah, if this is this fine, we'll whoop these guys.
Right.
Regardless of who you're playing, we want to feel the opponent's gonna have to give us our due and respect us and know that we're gonna give them everything that we've got. And we've been fortunate to win a lot of games over the course of the past few years. And but our goal isn't to have just a good team any individual year. Our goal is to have a good team every year, so it's all about developing the program and developing the freshmen and the sophomores and, everybody as you come up, continuing to get strong and prepare and, just try to keep it rolling over and over and over again. That's the kind of the fun challenge of it, every year, every team's completely different, but trying to make sure that every team, despite being different, can still meet the goals that we set, and be successful and be competitive and, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
You have anything before?
I don't know.
All right. Well, we're going to end it here with the last episode. I mean, not last episode.
But
the last of this episode of Coaches Talk here. And, thank you for being on here again. And hope next week when we have our next episode, we're talking high about being Francis Howell again.
Hopefully so.
But it was good seeing you and good talking with you. So.
Hey, when does this come out? When does this get posted?
This Friday.
Should go out Friday. Hey, if you're watching, come to the game tomorrow night. We need all the help we can get. It's their homecoming. It's going to be loud. It's going to be packed. We need as many Trojan fans as possible. So come out, cheer us on, man.
Yeah, and any students that are coming, theme is camo. Pack the stands. Give them as much attention and just feeling like a home. Being away.
Yeah.
Yep. Be awesome. Appreciate y'all. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.